Hi, I'm Dave, founder of Halloween Yarn, and today I'm talking about Dexter, or specifically Dexter Original Sin and Dexter Resurrection, or more specifically, why, in my opinion, which is fact to me, Dexter Resurrection worked and Dexter Original Sin did not. This is a tale of two spin off series, very different in their approach, very different in their execution, and I think very different in their, well, results. So I'm old enough to remember watching the original Dexter series finale, which it was for the time. I remember not being okay with it, but accepting that that was the end. Funnily enough, that aired a week before the series finale of Breaking Bad, and I remember thinking, see, Breaking Bad. Now there's a show that knows how to end, unlike Dexter. Of course, Breaking Bad would go on to have spin-off movies and the other show and all that other stuff, but I didn't know at the time that was all going to happen. So I've been a fan of Dexter since the very beginning. I remember I worked at the Suncoast Video back when that was still a thing, and a coworker of mine was like, "Oh, you got to check out this show, Dexter." I think at the time it was on like the second or third season, and he was like, "Oh, you got to watch it. You got to watch it." So I caught up on wherever it was, then I started watching, and then from then on, I just watched it each year as it aired on Showtime. And again, I had accepted that back in 2013, we had heard the last from Dexter. And then in 2021, I accepted again that Dexter New Blood was going to be the last we heard of Dexter. Again, I accepted that ending. I preferred the ending of New Blood and said that's a better ending than the original series was. I guess it made up for it. It still left me wanting for more. I was still incredibly frustrated that they had teased Angel and not done anything with it, and that we had not gotten that Dexter Angel reunion, but I had accepted it. And then I found out they were doing two more series because, well, let's be honest, Paramount Plus needs content for the streaming service, and Michael C. Hall needs to supplement his band, which they're really, really good. They're called Princess Goes. I've seen them perform it when they were in Philly. You should definitely check them out. All that being said, I remember when I first heard thinking, why are they doing this? Like, there's, again, other than Paramount Plus needs content, there's literally no reason to be doing these two shows. And then when Original Sin came out and I watched through all of that, it kind of proved me right. I didn't hate Original Sin. Let me be very clear that I don't hate everything about it. I dislike the show overall and I don't think it worked, but there are things I like about it. Positive things that I want to say about it. Patrick Gibson and Molly Brown are amazing as young Dexter and Deborah. Um and that's about it. Other than it tried.
I tried.
So when Dexter Resurrection started, I kind of went in having Original Sin had soured the taste in my mouth, thinking like, "Oh, let's see how they ruin this now." And then the trailer dropped, and I'm like, "What's Dexter doing?" I was thinking, "How is Dexter not in prison after killing Logan?" Just all these things, all these things. So I watched the first episode of Resurrection, and I will admit to this day, the Logan bit still bugs me. I get they had to figure out the writers had to like back themselves out of the corner they were in where Dexter killed a cop and how's he getting out of this? And I think that it was incredibly sloppy the way they're like, well, Logan fired a gun, so clearly it's self-defense. Whatever, I accept that it's hokey. It is what it is. But after that first episode, and then, as each episode went on week after week, I'm like, I think I really like Dexter Resurrection. So here I am with Resurrection now having ended, and I see two incredibly different shows. And ultimately, for me at least, I think that it comes down to three different things. One, prequelitis versus fan service. Two, the future versus the past. And three, the imitation versus the real thing. I mean, technically, these are all kind of the same big reason, but let me explain. So, what I mean by Prequelitis versus fan service. Dexter Original Sin suffers heavily from prequelitis. That is a condition where a prequel feels the need to explain every single little thing that does not necessarily need to be explained, or to shoehorn connections to whatever it's a prequel to, even if those connections break continuity or don't make sense. There are small, benign examples, such as in Original Sin, we see Dexter showing up at the police precinct with a box of vegetables, being like, "Oh, here's vegetables. You want some vegetables? Vegetables are good." And they're like, cops like donuts. Bring donuts." And we're supposed to say, "Ah, that's how he started bringing donuts." But Dexter was not that socially inept to not understand that bringing vegetables wouldn't go over. Like, it was silly, but again, it's benign. And then you have more egregious things like, again, the complete absence of Tom Matthews, a vital character in the original series, whom we never see, never gets referenced in Original Sin, and very much should be present not only for the scenes with young Dexter, but for the flashback scenes in the 70s with Harry. I did a whole video just on that. It's one of the higher viewed videos on my channel, one that I'm particularly proud of, one that I'll put a link in the description to if you want to hear me rant specifically about that. And I remember the whole time people saying, "Oh, just wait till the next episode. Wait till the next season." Not happening now, so I guess we will forever have to live with the mystery of where was Tom Matthews in Dexter Original Sin. And then you get to the most egregious actual breaks in continuity, things that don't make sense. So, with the timeline, we have Deb applying to police academy while Harry is still alive. We have Harry kind of being more active with Dexter doing his stuff when we know the second he witnessed it, he offed himself, as Dokes discovered in season 2. I'm not saying that all those things had a very clear timeline, but it's very wishy-washy with that, and it shows again in the flashback scene in the original series, we see Dexter and Deb as teenagers, where a woman was just murdered and Dexter goes and kills the guy. And it's that murder that Harry witnesses that causes him to do what he does. But it doesn't make sense that in that scene, Dexter would have been already working with Harry for some time. Why was he not at that crime scene? Matthews, again, not to mention Matthews again, Tom Matthews is the one who brings them there. So he should be working there. Again, it breaks continuity. And when you're doing a prequel, that's something you kind of have to keep in mind. It still has to make sense with the original thing that it is a prequel to. And don't get me started on the inclusion of Brian, which makes zero sense that he's involved that early on and that he just decides to back off and wait that many years to strike again, especially knowing Harry dies not that long after that. Again, it was just a way to be like, see, that connects to here. See, that explains this. A very bad case of prequelitis. I mean, what? Why was Jabba the Hutt the one who starts the pod race in episode 1? Prequelitis. Why did Anakin build C3PO in episode 1? Prequelitis. Do you see? I know this isn't a Star Wars video, but it's the same disease. It's the same symptoms. Dexter Resurrection, on the other hand, it does fan service, but there's a difference between fan service and prequelitis. And the big difference is Resurrection does not rely on its fan service as its bread and butter. It is merely a topping on an already delicious dish. Yes, we see the ghosts of Dokes, Miguel Prado, Trinity, and it's fun to see them, but their appearance is brief and makes sense in the context of that. And here's the thing, not all fan service is bad even in Original Sin. I just so you know, I'm not just picking on it. Miguel Prado pops up in Original Sin. There's a brief scene where Harry picks up Maria LaGuardia and she's at Miguel's place and she's like, "Oh yeah, he wants to be district attorney." It's fan service and it's getting into prequelitis, but it doesn't break continuity and it makes sense that she would have been dating Miguel Prado at that time. Whereas Resurrection just doesn't run into those issues. And while it does have fan service, it references things here and there, with name dropping characters that are no longer with us. Hell, even Quinn mentions, "Oh yeah, I've made mistakes like falling for the Eastern European stripper." Those are fun little callbacks that are references that we get, but they don't break the continuity, and they are the kind of fan service that doesn't ruin the meal. That is not the main course of the meal. The main course was, well, everything else in Resurrection. I said all these reasons kind of blur together, and they do with the future versus the past. And ultimately what it comes down to is, and I know I'm going to sound hypocritical because I just picked on Dexter Original Sin for straying too far off the continuity. It's also kind of tied to it. It's stuck in the past. It can break continuity to do things like include Brian and not have Tom Matthews and have Dexter work with Harry longer. Like it can do those little minor things, but it can't do anything too big. The whole time we know any character that appears in Original Sin who is later in, Dexter cannot die. We know Maria LaGuardia is safe. We know that Batista is safe. We know that, and they handled this well, that Captain Spencer, who turns out to be a villain, has to just disappear because they're like, we can do whatever we want with him because he's a character that doesn't appear in the original series. So when you're stuck with that, it limits what kind of stories you can do. And again, while it's Original Sin feels like it's riding heavily on nostalgia, but it doesn't really have anything of its own to say. It's young Dexter. I mean, I compared it to, there was a Mad TV sketch about like the young Sopranos in high school, but it's the same kind of idea. It's like it's the cliche of, oh, here's a character you like, well, here's a younger version of him. I know what you're saying. For every one young Sheldon that works, there's 10 that don't work. And I feel like Dexter Original Sin was one of the 10 that didn't. Resurrection, on the other hand, that's taking Dexter's story and moving it forward. The entire season was uncharted territory. Anything could have happened to Dexter, to Harrison, to Angel, wink, wink, to Prater, to Charlie. Like all these characters are there, and it's not constrained to that old continuity. It's not constrained to, well, we have to make sure this flows into something else. We can do our own thing, and therefore we are more free to be different about it. Which again, Original Sin feels like it's just trying to be old Dexter again, whereas Resurrection, it's new, it's different. We're in New York City now. Dexter's still not working for the police. He's a rideshare driver, and we're seeing how he deals with this serial killer club, which is kind of an amazing idea that I'm shocked hadn't been used this long. That the earlier seasons hadn't done something with that. And it's a really cool concept that again gave us an opportunity to get a lot of other really solid guest stars, like David Desmalchin, Neil Patrick Harris, Kristen Ritter. It was just a really cool, interesting new direction, whereas Original Sin can't really do anything new, which brings us to the third and final and briefest reason: imitation versus the real thing. As good as Patrick Gibson and Molly Brown are as young Dexter and Deb, they're really just doing impressions of them. The actors playing young Angel, young LaGuardia, they're great impressions, but that's really all they are. They're impressions. They're imitations of something that we know we already like. The only one that completely went his own way was Christian Slater as Harry, which from a continuity standpoint, I didn't like because I thought, well, he doesn't feel like Harry to me. But from just an observer of that show, I kind of admired he was the only one that thought to himself, or maybe he was the only one that the directors told, make this character your own. Because again, everything we know of Harry is from Dexter's own perspective, whether it's flashback, whether it's his, hallucinations. Christian Slater actually got to play Harry as Harry, and I think it gave him the opportunity to actually do something different. Whereas, of course, with Resurrection, we're getting Michael C. Hall. It doesn't make sense that in Original Sin, it's Michael C. Hall narrating. It should be Patrick Gibson. The only reason it's not is because we all know and love Michael C. Hall, and we still want to hear his voice in it. Whereas Resurrection, it's just him. So while I sit here and as of now, not, I mean, Original Sin has officially been canceled. Resurrection, there's rumors, but we haven't had an official announcement, at least as of time of recording, whether or not we get a season three. I loved how it kind of ended with him talking directly to the camera, and the audience is like, I'm exactly what you want me to be. And that's like, the character and the writers wink to us that, like, well, we're not gonna kill him, we're not, they don't have the guts to do the original ending, which originally for the first show, they wanted him to get caught and get executed, and as he's about to be executed, he looks to the window and sees all the other killers he's killed, and they're like, welcome, brother. That would be an amazing badass ending that I wish Showtime had the balls to do. I still don't think they ever will, because I think they don't want to do anything that definitive, but I will take the ending of Resurrection. And I was just, with how much I didn't like Original Sin and how much it bothered me and how much I felt like it reeked of prequelitis and felt like the Phantom Menace of Dexter, Resurrection, against my expectations, because I went in expecting to hate it, it blew me away and I absolutely loved it. But hey, these are just my thoughts. These are just my ramblings. This is just my channel. If you don't like it, get your own. Just kidding. Watch mine. Let me know in the comments. What did you think? Which show did you like better? What am I completely wrong about? Come at me. It's what YouTube is for. Like, share, subscribe, all the YouTube stuff. If you don't, you may end up stuck on Dexter's table. And as always, every day is Halloween.